Hello Geeks Gamers, Matt Lemke here with Your Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggles.com, and today I'm going to do something different that I've never done before, so please stick around for the whole thing, hear me out. I'm going to talk about metagaming to you, so it's really a one-sided conversation, and I want to know how this works. I want you people to ask me questions that I can come back and answer, and let me know if I'm wasting my time and if I'm wasting your time. I don't plan on doing this for more than 10 or 12 minutes. And the reason why I'm actually doing this is because I want to stay consistent with my weekly releases. And I didn't have a product to review this week, and I primarily do product reviews. But a couple of my friends are like, hey, you know, you really need to talk more because you've been role-playing for a long time and you got a lot of information. And you can read all about that stuff later in a biography. And I'm going to write a lot of this stuff out. But today we're going to talk about metagaming, which I already mentioned. And I have two guests. I have Kayushi from the old Shadowrun action line figures from WizKids, and I have Wolf. If I feel inspired, I might make them talk. I don't know if we're going to go that route. But let's start with what is metagaming. In its simplest form, it's bringing external knowledge to a game. And then having, depending on what type of game you're playing, decisions based off of that external knowledge. In role-playing, it would be allowing your character to make a decision based off of information that would not readily be available to him or her. So, some examples would be, you go out, you're playing an alchemist, let's say, who might know this, sort of, but not really, because, let's say, to be more specific, we'll use Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 as the game world, because it's the game world I'm probably the most familiar with. So your alchemist goes out and he looks for sulfur, saltpeter, and I don't know what the third component is, or whatever it is, and he comes back and he goes, okay, I'm going to try and make this alchemical thing, and you know, he tells the DM that, wow, I'm showing my age here, dungeon master instead of game master, that he wants to make gunpowder. That would be metagaming. It would be metagaming because those three ingredients wouldn't readily be associated with gunpowder in the Dungeons and Dragons world. Pathfinder, that might be a different story. They might not be readily available, but I'm sure that somewhere in there, an alchemist has the ingredients for gunpowder. That wouldn't be a problem. But in gunpowder, let's say you move into the Pathfinder universe, the problem might be, well, let's say you go out and you try and find the chemical compounds for making liquid nitrogen. That's certainly something that is well beyond the scientific level of a Pathfinder character. But you know, obviously, if your GM allows it to happen, you're going to be allowed to have it happen. But that would frustrate other members of the party probably, and therefore would be metagaming, because metagaming is often met with a negative connotation. Another form of metagaming would be when a party of first, second, and third level characters enter a dungeon, and let's say they stumble across a troll, and one of them decides that he's going to use the torch to fight the troll with because he knows that they have a weakness to fire. And that would be based off of player experience as opposed to character experience. Basically, metagaming is one of those catch-22 things where sometimes you fall into the whole argument of player knowledge versus character knowledge. Player knowledge is your understanding of the rules, the game mechanics, and the real world. And then character knowledge would be what has your character learned within this particular game world. Which is why, in some ways, games with a lot of skills, they're a little bit laborious with their maintenance and things like that. But they put down an accurate reflection of the character's personality. Not so much personality, but of the character's knowledge. And that's why sometimes people tend to like those systems. Another form of metagaming is I already did that. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's all I came up with. Oh, no. Well, I guess I did. Yeah, I talked about gunpowder. I talked about um, liquid nitrogen. I talked about player knowledge versus character knowledge. Here's a couple of things that are considered power gaming or metagaming that I don't really consider metagaming. I consider one common sense and just respect to everybody else in the group. A big thing that sometimes happens is people in real life get into their fights. They have a little squabble and they bring it into the game world. Well, that is certainly metagaming. But at the same time, it has no place in the game world. Leave your crap at home. You know, it's just that freaking simple. Another biggie for metagaming would be making a decision for your character based off what you believe the results of the game mechanics would determine. For example, I'm playing Zorro. Zorro is an acrobatic dude who's going to try and tumble through no matter what. He's gonna run up on the table. He's gonna stand onto that lantern torch that's 6 feet high, burning, and he's gonna ride it down to the ground because that's what he does. He's gonna do this number. He's gonna do this number, and hopefully survive, right? Because that's what Zorro does. I should have done that the other way around. It would have been funny to ride the troll. But because it's raining, the roof's open, it's dark, there's moss growing, there's all kinds of modifiers that are supposed to make it difficult for you. So you decide to take a 5-foot step instead. Nobody's going to call you on it, and you're the only one that's going to know. But you're not playing your character anymore, you're playing the game. So I guess it really comes down to, is metagaming an argument that should exist? Or is it an argument that needs to be answered by every player? Are you going to play the game in a role, or are you going to play a character who fills a role? Think about it. There's a difference, and as we continue with these, we're going to move into those. So we already mentioned that metagaming is bringing outside knowledge into the game world. Let's kind of look at this and make it a little bit clearer, because there's some pretty abruptness that can be involved in this. Wolf here is my barbarian troll. He can't write. He can't read because I created him that way. The DM says out loud that on the door it says, do this. And the barbarian goes and does it. That's metagaming because the barbarian can't read. He's an ugly barbarian. Where I was going with that kind of got off track. But Wolf here can't read, which fits Wolf's character. Wolf here doesn't know that if he picks up too much stuff, it's going to slow him 20 feet. He knows and understands it's going to slow him down. Wolf doesn't understand that if he tumbles through this area and it's very slippery, he's going to have a -10 to his die roll, because Wolf doesn't know what a die roll is. Wolf does not know what the game mechanics are. Wolf doesn't know who you are. Therefore, Wolf shouldn't be able to make decisions based off of the game rules and the game mechanics. That's pretty much what the fine line is between metagaming. It's whether or not, basically, in my opinion, you can separate player knowledge from character knowledge, and it's not that simple, and balance it based off of the stats of the character, the skills of the character. Well, we're starting to get into the next session already. And the background of the character. Yes, the background of the character. It's very important, believe it or not. If you want to play your character, which I'm at a point in role-playing where the story, while we follow the rules pretty well, the story trumps them almost all the time. The DM will cheat if he has to for the story to work, and we're all fine with that. And that's a whole other story, though, to talk about. When do you compromise the rules for the integrity of the story? That's something else down the line. But there's another couple of things about metagaming that I, frankly, don't consider metagaming, but by the strictest definition of the rules, they are, or the strictest definition of what metagaming is, they are. It's twinking and power gaming. I consider those more of a style of play. We do have a couple of people in a couple of our groups that will power game. I guess you could say I even power game a little bit because I'll plan out what the character wants, but at the same time, I let our GM kind of dictate what path my character is going to take. For example, in a current game, the GM keeps throwing stuff at us that involves constructs, and we keep finding pieces of old constructs and things like that that seem to be a part of our storyline. And nobody's an artificer, so my character's thinking about maybe as part of his responsibility to protect the world, because that's one of his ultimate purposes is to be a protector. He needs to take some artificer levels to understand what's going on better. That's pretty much it. I just wanted to share with that, a little bit. And I had mentioned that are you playing a character or are you playing a role? And I think that if you move from I understand what a fighter is into I have a fighter with this personality, you'll just naturally move away from metagaming. I mean, you can't be perfect at it. Nobody is perfect at not metagaming. Like I said, I power game a little bit. My character has sneak attack, so he's going to take 2-weapon fighting. But he's also the damage dealer of the party, and he's a rogue, so he's got to do something like that to be the damage dealer. That's what we need. And here we go again. That's another topic. What does your party need? We're 13 minutes in. I want to cut it there, not to leave you hanging too much. Next week, we're going to start talking about the role of character. Or, if you guys absolutely hate this and nobody watches it, we won't talk about it again because I won't do this. I won't waste your time and I won't waste mine. But I really do. I want your feedback. Let me know if it was worth your 13 and a half minutes. Let me know if I should do it. Please share it. Tweet it. Share it on Facebook. Share it with your friends. Tell people about it because you're my voters. If you like it and it gets shared, it gets likes, I'll continue doing it. If it doesn't, I'll probably only go do 3 or 4 of these and then I'll be done and I'll be moving on to finding something else. So, thanks for watching. Matt Lemke with Through Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggles.com, and yes, that's me getting mauled by a troll, and yes, that's the Gen Con troll. Next week, we'll have Kellen Colt as our guest. She's not on fire. Anyway, later guys.